I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about what if I already broke no contact? So if you're going through a breakup and you've decided to go no contact, there's a good chance that early in the breakup you were very confused. You didn't know what you were doing. You were doing grand gestures. I did the grand gesture. You were writing handwritten letters and probably being ignored, or sending good reminder texts. And when you saw that that stuff wasn't working or making it worse, you probably decided, I better try this no contact thing. I don't know what this is, but I better figure this out.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. All these different coaches are saying different things. We come from the perspective that if somebody ends the relationship, you allow them to reach out to you. That you don't try to change your mind or do any of the things that I was just laughing about a minute ago, because it simply makes things worse in a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. So, early on, you probably decided, I'm scared, these other coaches are saying different things, or my friends and family are telling me different things. Yeah. My friends are saying reach out, my family is saying send them a gift. And so you broke no contact. Oftentimes when this happens, you regret it, and you can leave your comments if you did break no contact and what happened, so people can share experiences. Mm-hmm. But we're going to talk about this today.
Right, so to first ease your anxiety, a lot of people think, oh no, it's too late now. Mm-hmm. There's no turning back. So to ease your anxiety about this, it's not too late. For most cases, if it wasn't too severe, if the police weren't involved, or if there isn't a restraining order, then you likely reached out in a non-threatening way. Mm-hmm. There is a chance to make it work again. It's not an end-all, be-all that you reached out, depending on the way that you reached out. So just to ease your anxiety off the start.
Yes, that's absolutely true. You just have to realize that if you do break no contact and that person is frustrated with you or upset at you, now it's going to take time for them to calm down again and process, right, Margaret?
Yeah. That, I know everybody thinks at the moment of the breakup that the partner is just never going to think of them again. They're just going to go on with their lives, and it's matter for despair and so forth and so on. And we like to remind you that we human beings are not made that way. We cannot just forget someone we've been with, someone we've been intimate with, somebody who was the center of our lives and we of theirs. It's not humanly possible to just forget about you.
No, and that comes up all the time.
All the time.
I had a call today. This guy was with his girlfriend for 10 years, and, she's dating somebody new right now, or talking to somebody new right now that actually lives in another state, and he's terrified that she's going to forget about him. And I'm like, you've been with her for 10 years.
Yeah, no one can do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's been like 2 months since I've heard from her.
But 2 months, you're right, that doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah.
But the stages that when we're separated from somebody we love, first we protest, okay? Mm-hmm. And then we go into a state of despair. Mm. And then eventually we make some new adjustment. But I think oftentimes we tend to make contact with you at the point where you're in total despair.
Yeah. If you broke no contact, one of the things you want to think about is how you broke no contact. Mm-hmm. Okay? Hopefully you didn't just show up at their job or just show up at their place or their house. And if you are doing this, please stop stalking your ex. It may make you feel better in that moment where you see their car in front of their house or something like that, but there's a good chance you're gonna get caught.
Absolutely.
And the guy that I just talked about a minute ago, he got caught driving past the house, and he's like, I'm like, well, how far away was it? And he's like, well, about a couple hundred feet. Well, a couple hundred feet away, and the type of car it was,
There's no way he was getting away with it.
yeah, I was just like, the color, the car, you're not getting away with it. She knows it was you.
Yeah.
So how did you do it? That what I would say would be a way of breaking no contact, stalking them, going past their house, showing up at their job. All of that is extremely intrusive. There are little ways of doing it. Maybe you just send a text message here or there. That's not as severe as just showing up at somebody's work.
That's very intrusive, yeah. And nobody ever is pleased with that.
And it usually scares women.
Yes, it does. And with good reason. Yeah.
The other thing that you have to consider too is why you broke no contact. So for a lot of you, you didn't know about no contact before coming to this channel or before seeing other YouTube videos about it. So you might have just done what you thought was right and what you thought looked like fighting for the relationship, and it ended up making things worse. So that could be one reason. Another thing is if your anxiety just got the best of you. Let's say you did know about no contact, but then your anxiety just felt, oh my God, if I don't reach out, I'm never going to hear from them again.
She'll forget about me.
You may find that you have moments of weakness with, or during a breakup, that there will be times when you're feeling more vulnerable or anxious or scared.
Yeah. Sure.
And so I think it's better if you remove the contact from your phone or do it in such a way that you don't reach out to them when you're feeling vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Or if you've been out drinking. That often happens.
yes, that's a big one.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Another thing that you'll see too is a lot of people have this idea of sending a last resort type of message, thinking, oh, I have nothing to lose. I'm just going to reach out to them. And if they answer, then that's great. And if they don't, then I don't care.
A Hail Mary text.
Yeah.
Yes, a Hail Mary text.
So the thing about that is you go into it thinking that you're not going to care. But then after you sent that message, you see that there's no reply. More time passes. You see that there's still no response. And then your anxiety skyrockets. So you have to be honest with yourself with how you are going to be after you send that risky text or after you send that last resort.
But as you say, you've got to
message.
think about why this person broke up with you.
That's such a good point that she's making, though, about this Hail Mary text of,
Absolutely.
I don't care what happens with this. Once this happens, I'm done. Then you do it, and then you're like, oh, God.
Why did I do that?
And I'm not done. I'm not done.
Yeah, it's true.
And now you're even more upset at yourself because sometimes we believe that, oh, well, I'll have this thought, and I'm going to do it like this, and that's it. But then you do it. Doesn't go the way that you thought.
Away, yeah.
And then you regret it. So, while you're in no contact, it's so important that you figure out what happened that this relationship fell apart. What were the mistakes that you made? What can you learn about yourself, your attachment issues, how to be a better partner, what your partner did to trigger things within you, all kinds of things that you can start to explore and prepare yourself for either repairing it with them or, for the new people that you meet and date, because eventually that's going to happen if you decide to move on. So you got to learn how you operate and what makes you tick in your relationships, because Margaret, we've talked about this, how once you get into a new relationship or a relationship, that's when you're tested.
Yes, exactly right. That's when you're tested. Yeah.
I think you had a saying about that, like you don't know who you are until someone tries to love you, along those lines?
Yes. And that's a very good question to ask yourself, too. Did I love this person? Did they let me love them? Did this person love me? And did I let them love me? And that's a very profound question, okay? And if you tend to be more on the avoidant end of the spectrum, it may be that you weren't accustomed to being loved and didn't know quite what to do about it.
So, if you've been in no contact, that's going to give you some indication of how you're doing with managing your anxiety. Are you making progress with being able to sit with uncertainty and anxiety? Or are you still struggling with just not reaching out every day? And are you being honest with yourself about how you're doing? And, how are you feeling about the breakup? How are you feeling about your ex?
Mm-hmm. All you know in that first few weeks is that you're panicked and you feel awful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It is important to remember your ex's experience too, though, in this, because a large part of no contact is respecting your ex's request for space and respecting their request to end the relationship. So you do have to put yourself in their shoes too and say, okay, I need to step back from this. I need to give them that time and that space. They need to be the ones who are in the place who are ready to restart and to reconsider the relationship, not you. And so that's why we always say that it's better for your ex to reach out to you than for you to reach out to them.
And anybody has a right to break up anytime they choose to.
For any reason.
For any reason they choose, whether it seems reasonable to you or not.
Yeah.
And we just have to remember that people have that right, and you have that right too. You can walk out of a relationship at any time.
Yeah. But Margaret, one of the biggest things we start to do is beat ourselves up.
Absolutely. And that's what we see. First we hear panic. They're going to forget about me. Okay, that's the first thing that we hear. And then you have the whole debate about no contact, and people are panic-stricken that if they don't make contact, the partner will forget about them. And then people beat themselves up endlessly and overthink, was it this thing I said? Was it that thing I said? Was it that thing I did? There must have been something I did. We talked with someone yesterday, in fact, who was so convinced that it must have been her fault. And it honestly didn't look to us like it was. And we'll be straight with you, I can assure you. We will tell you the truth, whether it's hard or not. But people get into beating themselves up endlessly, okay? And I have found that if I say to them, so you're very good at beating yourself up, where did you learn that? That people will tell me that they probably had a harsh parent or whatever. But most of us are better taught how to beat ourselves up than how to like and comfort ourselves.
Yeah, and that's really important when you break no contact, or when you did break no contact, is not to think that now that you have reached out to them, it's completely over, you lost your chance, you are a mess up for doing that. You just have to remember that you're working on yourself at this time, and it might prolongate the process of them reconsidering the relationship. It might take them a while longer to believe that you're not 100% available to them all the time and to strike up that fear of missing you and of losing you. But it doesn't mean that they're gone forever. You just have to continue on with your process. You might have had a setback, but that doesn't mean that the entire journey is gone. So
it's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
We wish you hadn't done it. You wish you hadn't done it. But it's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
You can't do anything about it at this point other than to decide that you're going to leave them alone and let them decide what they want to do, because they have a right to choose you or to choose someone else or choose to be alone or whatever they want to choose. And you can't force people or make them do things that they don't really want to do.
Yeah.
Right?
And if it's helpful for you, you can come up with a list of plan B options of things to do instead of writing to your ex or instead of texting your ex. I think, Margaret, you also mentioned something really important of drunk messaging an ex.
Oh, drunk messaging happens all the time. And of course, if you're upset and you're recovering from this breakup, you're liable to go out with your friends and have a few. And drunk texting is a really bad idea. And we dealt with one couple relatively reasonably who showed up on each other's doorsteps when drunk. And, that didn't help anybody at all. But it's very easy. So if you've been drinking, be really careful.
Yeah. And see if you can find a friend who you can be accountable with. You can either give them your phone, you can leave your phone at home if that feels safe for you, but put up measures to make sure that you're going to be okay.
You got to remember that all it takes is one moment where you're vulnerable enough to reach out. That's all it takes for you to do it. And so you got to keep this in mind while you're in no contact. All it takes is one moment, one bad nightmare, one something that you're looking for that excuse to reach out to them. And then, now your ex knows that you're not really moving on, or they're going to suspect it, or the separation anxiety that they had been feeling it's going to go away.
That's the issue that we keep repeating and repeating. If you reach out, you can be sure, although people insist that the ex has forgotten about them already, but they're going to be feeling separation anxiety too. That's how we're made. That's how we're wired. And if you reach out, it stops the grief process for your ex.
Yep.
And that's not what you want.
And it lowers their anxiety about
Right,
feeling the
exactly.
loss of losing you.
Yep.
So that's why you want to do your absolute best to stay in no contact. Now, of course, I better say this, you don't have to be in no contact for every situation. There would be some situations that it's not necessary, but, you know, obviously we're not going to get into all of those specifics in this video here. We're just getting you to consider what it feels or what will happen if you do break no contact.
And the simplest way to look at it is you need to let your ex sit with the process, just like you are.
Okay, so hopefully you found this video helpful. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net, sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Of course, Coach Margaret is available for Skype coaching.
If you feel that I can be helpful, please sign up.
Just click on Margaret on the top of the website to do that. And Coach Victoria will continue to train with us.
I'll be here.
So that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon. To get my help personally, go to askcraig.net and click on Schedule Coaching and choose the option that works best for you. I do email coaching or Skype. To schedule a coaching with Margaret, click on Margaret on the top of the page and order a Skype with her. For the Knowledge Creative Healing course, click on the link at the top of the page and click Get Started Now.